Hello my lovely, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here to another unboxing of the Alexandra Renke Kreativ-Box, the subscription that I have received quite late this month. It was announced that they would send it around the 7th of October, but I only received it 7 days later, and just now getting around to doing the voiceover. The second box you see contains a couple of dies, so they put an extra box for that. And the release has been shown on their website for Christmas, and it was announced that this would contain the Christmas release or some items of it. So here we go. This string seems a little jumbled, and later I found that the individual strands were supposed to be examples of types of ribbon or string that you can get, and they were not meant to go together as such. And here are some bookmarks from the Christmas collection papers. I think they're from some older papers, actually. Not sure though. I hope you can see the strings. I didn't show them individually, but onto the die. This one is huge. It says magical, wonderful, lovely, and it's a statement die, isn't it? So here's a Christmas themed set of stamps, or Christmas tree it says in one of them, and it's called Zauberhafte Winterzeit, which means magical Christmas time. And here I'm showing you a closer view so you can check them out yourself. Pause the video if you like. And here's a little test tube, or mini test tube of sequins, and not sure if you can see, so I'm pouring them out onto this card. It's Christmas themed. It has little gingerbread men in gold and lots of stars and some red sugar canes in it. I'm going to regret pouring out the sequins because they will be everywhere in a moment. And watching the video back, I noticed there was one on here as well. And this is one of the newer papers. I think it's new, and it's, I think, called Snow Dots, and the paper number here is 10/24/15 for the green one. This green paper, I think, is part of the Calm series. I'm not sure about that either. And the paper number is 10/24/16. And here's one of my most favorite. It's the Hawthorn blossoms, I think. And on a watercolor background, as they call it. So lovely. The paper number is 10/23/88. And here are birch trees And the patterns on the birches are made up of ferns in a darker green and the typical Alexandra Renke gold. Really lovely. The paper number is 102482. And some ferns. These are also in this same green with gold, and the paper number is 102480. And one of those lovely scenes that Alexandra Renke do with some reindeer. This could be Rudolph, I'm guessing. And the paper number is 102393. And this one, not sure what it's called, but it's some scattered gifts, and I think there's a postman on there. And the gifts are wrapped in different papers and they look quite modern, I would say, typically for Alexandra Renke. And the paper number is 102402. Here we have some grey squares, and I think on the video it gives you kind of moire effect, but it's really lovely in real life. And the paper number is 102485. And here are some wooden planks or wooden boards in a dark grey, and the paper number is 102406. And here's another one of their watercolor papers with acorns and oak leaves in red and orange with the white pattern on it. This is my favorite, I think. And the paper number here is 102382. So beautiful. And some red gifts in, I think the dark red is the Alexandra Renke red, with lots of bows, and the paper number is 102462. Sorry about the camera not focusing. And finally we have a red calm paper. The paper number here is 102207. And this is the paper I will actually use for my card today, But first of all, I will arrange all the things I received for my photo. So I need to make a card for a colleague who is leaving our department and who is very helpful. So I have decided to use the magical die for this card, and of course it's not going to be Christmas themed. And so I'm cutting all the bits and pieces to size to make a shaker card. I'm using a separate piece of Alexandra Renke paper that I had already as the card base and the front. And of course, the card base needs scoring, so I'm doing this with my paper trimmer as well. I thought I would show you this in real time, but don't worry, I will speed up some of the parts later on for you, so it's not so tedious for you to watch. And there's the card front, which I will die cut now with my Sizzix fold away. And my self-healing mat, as usual. I also cut out the words lovely and wonderful that came with the set and found that they are very dainty, thin letters. So here I'm taking off the word and being careful to save those little gaps or spaces for the G and the A's, so I can put them on my card later. On to cutting the acetate for the shaker element, and I'm using the backing as a guide for the measurement, so I don't have to measure out the dimensions. And I'm using overhead foil from back in the day that I still have a package of, and that serves me quite well as shaker elements, or even I use it as foil to cut stencils out of as well. And here's the card front. So I will put glue all around the word and glue the acetate to the card front. Making sure everything lines up perfectly. I'm leaving this to dry, and to weigh it down I put my die cutting machine on it. Now I'm ready to fill in the spaces that I kept before, and I'm using my Nouveau Deluxe glue, which is my favorite glue to paper craft. And I decided to add a little bit of sparkle to the background with my Wink of Stella pen. It's the clear 999. It's hardly visible here, but I think you can see it here a little bit. And to make the shaker element, I have cut to size some foam strips, and I forgot to cut out the G, the round bit on the G, but I stuck it all around, and now I'm using talcum powder to get the sticky off the inside of all those strips. And I'm using quite a bit of powder to do this and knocking it off later, so the sequins will flow freely. And now I'm using a pokey tool to get the strips off the sticky. It's quite tricky. So I've put some die cut fallout butterflies that I had saved from something, and different types of sequins, and also quite a few of those sequins I received with my box into the shaker, using tweezers to sort out some things that are too Christmassy, like those gingerbread men and the sugar cane. Because I want this to be quite light and shiny for my colleague. What I do for gluing, I do use the sticky of the tape, but I enforce it with my Nouveau Deluxe white glue to keep it from falling apart later on, because I noted before that if you leave the card standing somewhere and then the moisture goes into the paper, the glue doesn't hold up over time. So just to be on the safe side, it's always good to enforce or reinforce the glue with white glue. So this is it, and the red card goes on top, and then adding some more glue to glue the card base onto this whole thing. And later on I noticed that I could have cut this a little smaller, because the red shows once the card is finished, and you look at it from the top, you will see the red paper, and well, it's not perfect, but it did the trick anyway, because I already gave it to my colleague, or our department did, and she was overwhelmed. So that made me happy, of course. So while the card is drying, I cut out the word Chantal you are out of the same cardstock with my silhouette and used press and seal to adhere it to the card. So this is dry now and it worked perfectly. So I hope you liked the card and my video. Please leave me a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. And while I'm adding some wink of Stella also to the word Chantal, I would like to thank you so much for staying with me, for watching, and hopefully you will do what you love. Take care of yourself. Until next time, bye bye. Ta-da!